So we read a passage from Matthew. Ilka read to us a passage from Matthew. And I just want to make a few brief comments on it. I really wanted this service to be about you understanding a bit more about some of the issues in prison and the different people who find some of those issues quite heartbreaking. But the passage, the bit that I want to focus on is the positive things that we can do. Jesus said, when you do these things, you are doing it for me. And when you do it to the least of my brothers, and I find that a very interesting phrase. I don't like the phrase the least of, but the people maybe that we sometimes look down on, the people we don't rate, the people we dismiss very easily, some of those words that came earlier, the people who we think perhaps we don't even think it, but some people will say don't deserve it. When we first set up Angel Tree and we talked about it at Noah's Ark, one lady said to me, "Why on earth are you doing something for prisoners? They're rubbish." I said, no, we're not doing it for prisoners, we're doing it for their children who are totally innocent, but also those people are not rubbish. I think that passage in Matthew makes it so clear that God calls those people the least of these my brothers. He's not saying, he's saying people that you might not consider very worthy or in some way, but they are my brothers. He already puts that label, if you like, on them. So for prisoners, for people in difficulty in different ways, that lovely idea that Jesus treats us like that. And then he says, these are the things you can do. Now he talks about food and drink. So food, we did harvest and loads of stuff for Food Bank a few weeks ago. I hope we do that as regularly as we can, supplying food in a way that's almost helped us. It's sometimes hard to give food to people, but there's an easy method there. I would always put food and drink together, but when I started thinking about it, in the country where it was being said at that moment, a hot country where water is really important. I thought about it for a long time. I was in Sierra Leone 4 times with a mission, just 2 to 3 weeks at a time, but for 4 years on the trot. And one year, when everybody the way they got water was they all brought their containers to a particular place, and a lorry came and put water in. I don't know how they paid for it, but they did. And then one year, it didn't come. The lorry didn't come. And there were 3 days where people had no water. And it was horrible because the children were coming to school and they were parched, they were worried, and we were in a hotel up the road, not a very smart hotel, but hotel, and we were given lots of water bottles, and we carried one with us, and that was sort of like embarrassing, really. We'd finished school and the kids had gone home, and this lad just stayed and looked at me and said, "I'm so thirsty." And we had this thing about you could, if you had a child on their own and they were thirsty, you could hold the bottle and sort of pour it so you didn't touch it, and they could get some water. So I did that for him, and then he looked at the bottle, which was half empty, and I said, "If I gave it to you," we weren't supposed to, "if I gave it to you, what would you do?" And he said, "My mum and my baby sister." Water in this country comes out of a tap. It's there most of the time. But I have to say, because I'd see this passage and prayed about it, I have made a decision. Might not be your decision, but I'm going to sign up for water aid, which I don't do. I don't know why. Severn Trent, send it out with your water bill, just £2 a month, I think it is. So I've made that decision. I've been challenged by God about the water. And then there's the clothing, and we have an opportunity to give some clothing. But I think with recycling, there's all sorts of opportunities to make sure that we don't waste the clothes that we've got, and we do share them with others. I had asked Masai to say something, but I've seen the time, and she didn't really want to. She said to me the other day, strangers, give them a home. And that's really hard to do in lots of ways. So one story is Masai. She said to me the other day, "But this place, this church, is like a home." And so, yes, we can't give somebody a home because we're not allowed to with the refugee situation, but we can do all sorts of things to make people feel at home. Some of you remember it's a long time ago now, when I was 50, my Jubilee year, I decided that everything that came through the door about children asking for money, I would do. And one came through and it was, could you pay for a child in Albania to have 6-week English school? And I thought, I think this might be a scam. And I thought, no, that's what you agreed with God you would do. So I sent off my £25 or whatever it was. And a few weeks later, got a letter saying, thank you very much. I hope you think my English is good. I have learnt it on the summer school. And so I thought, oh, that's great. That seems very real. And then the next month came another letter saying, I have done so well in my exams. I've been chosen to come to the international school in Cardiff in Wales. I hope to see you. And so I met up with Ilona, who I just got a letter off to start with, and was able to do all sorts of things like meet her at Heathrow and take her there so she didn't have to spend money on the transport. And then it came to, she got through school, and then she went to Reading University, and she just needed to earn money in the holidays. And she said, she was still at school. She had one last year at school, but she couldn't go home, that's right, because there was a war in Albania. So she said, I need to stay somewhere. If I can stay in Reading, then I can earn some money. And she used to input data. I could earn a lot in the holidays. They won't let me stay in college. They won't let me do it. I could do it there or Reading. Do you know anybody in Reading? I had friends in Reading, Christian friends, who had her for the the Christmas holidays, looked after her, and she was able to earn that money. So sometimes we can't directly do what Jesus says, get the stranger in your home. Sometimes you can do something that's related to that. And what came after the stranger? It was the sick and the prison, yeah. So I think in this church we have a good pastoral system, but don't forget, if you're able to offer transport, just let Sue Holdsworth, who was up here, know, because there are so many journeys to hospital that people appreciate. But people also appreciate a visit when they're unwell. So if you're the sort of person who can't do other things, I remember Dot Kennard used to say, I can't do anything. She was the most brilliant visitor. She would go into people's homes, listen to them, talk to them, just for half an hour or so when people are unwell. That's also possible. But it does say visit people in prison. And I have to say, to do that, you have to go through a huge amount of checks. You can be a prison visitor, you can be a letter writer, you can maybe get onto that Sycamore course that Sue's doing, but maybe the thing we can mostly do at the moment is the angel tree, buying of the presents for the children to give. But I go back to that, what Jesus was actually saying in that passage. He was talking about attitude. He was talking about our motivation for doing things. He wasn't just saying do them. He was saying do them because you love me. So that's how I want to take that passage. Jesus considered each person to be his brother, his sister, and that's how we need to see other people. Not label them, but see them as God sees them.